Books carry within them the power to completely shift the direction of a person's life, because when ideas are absorbed at the right moment, they act as a spark that ignites transformation. For many people, the first step toward changing their financial destiny does not come from winning the lottery, inheriting wealth, or stumbling into some extraordinary luck, but from encountering a book that reveals a new way of looking at money and success. The beauty of books lies in their ability to compress decades of experience, mistakes, and wisdom into pages that can be consumed in hours, giving readers an accelerated path to knowledge that could otherwise take a lifetime to gather. When you open a book at the right stage in your journey, it feels as if the author is speaking directly to you, answering the exact questions you have been asking yourself silently and guiding you through the fog of confusion with clarity and precision. The way you think about money is often the single biggest factor that decides whether you stay trapped in financial struggles or rise to financial independence. Many of us grow up inheriting ideas about money from our families, schools, and surroundings, but those ideas are not always aligned with wealth creation. We may hear statements like, money is hard to earn, rich people are greedy, or you have to work all your life to be secure. These beliefs take root in the subconscious mind and shape how we behave with money. What books do is challenge those deeply ingrained assumptions and offer alternative perspectives that can liberate us from mental patterns that no longer serve us. When a book provides evidence that wealth is created by understanding systems, assets, and value rather than simply working harder, it forces the reader to rethink everything they believed about financial success. Imagine someone who has worked tirelessly for years, putting in long hours and sacrificing personal time, only to find themselves barely making progress. Then they come across a book that explains that financial freedom does not come from selling more hours of labor, but from creating streams of income that flow even when they are not working. Suddenly, the frustration that used to feel permanent begins to lift. They start to understand that success is not about being the hardest worker in the room, but about being the smartest one, the one who leverages knowledge, networks, and systems. That single mental shift creates an entirely new direction in life. Instead of chasing overtime, they begin to chase opportunities to invest, innovate, and build. What is powerful about books is that they make you realize money itself is not the ultimate goal, but rather the tool that allows freedom, options, and impact. Success is not just measured in dollar signs, but in the ability to design a life aligned with one's values. When someone reads a book that articulates this clearly, it reframes the purpose of pursuing wealth and transforms financial ambition into a mission of creating value. By internalizing such lessons, people begin to see the relationship between money and purpose differently. Instead of thinking only about survival, they start thinking about growth, contribution, and legacy. A book can also provide concrete methods and strategies, turning abstract concepts into practical steps. It might outline how to distinguish between assets and liabilities, how to budget intelligently, or how to invest with long-term vision. It can explain the compounding effect, the leverage of building systems, or the psychology of delayed gratification. Each of these concepts, once grasped, creates a sense of empowerment. The reader starts to feel capable of making smarter decisions, of building wealth instead of wasting money, of planning instead of drifting. The mindset shift does not remain just in the mind. It translates into daily habits, and habits over time define destiny. Another remarkable feature of books is that they allow you to step into the mind of someone who has already achieved what you aspire to achieve. It is like borrowing their mental models, their mistakes, their triumphs, and applying them to your own journey without having to repeat their failures. This transfer of perspective collapses the distance between you and success, making it seem reachable rather than impossible. Even if you are in a small town with no mentors around, a book becomes your silent mentor, whispering wisdom each time you turn the page. Over time, as you read more, the compounding of knowledge takes place. One book shifts your perspective, another reinforces the lesson, and yet another provides a new tool or framework. The combined effect is that your mindset evolves steadily until you begin to think, act, and decide like someone who is financially intelligent. The right book at the right time serves as a turning point, but the ongoing engagement with powerful ideas builds a foundation for lasting transformation. Books do not just provide information, they rewire the way you perceive opportunities, risks, and possibilities, and that rewiring is what makes lasting change possible. Financial freedom is never the result of pure chance or luck. It is almost always the outcome of knowledge, discipline, and the ability to apply what has been learned in the real world. Too often people assume that those who are wealthy must have stumbled into good fortune, inherited money, or been at the right place at the right time. While those things may occasionally play a role, the reality is that sustained financial success comes from understanding how money works and then making decisions based on that understanding. Knowledge is the seed, and without planting it in the mind, no amount of effort will produce the harvest of wealth. When a person begins to truly study money, business, and economics, they quickly realize that financial freedom is less about the size of a paycheck and more about the ability to manage, multiply, and protect resources. Most people spend their lives working hard, often putting in long hours, yet remain trapped in cycles of debt and stress because they do not know the basic principles of wealth creation. They may know how to earn, but not how to save but not how to invest, or how to invest, but not how to scale. Knowledge is the bridge that connects effort to results, and when people lack that knowledge, even their hardest work feels like it leads nowhere. Financial literacy fills this gap. It teaches that wealth is built not by hoarding money, but by directing it toward vehicles that generate more money over time. It reveals that money is not something to fear or worship, but a tool that responds to strategy, discipline, and intelligent decision-making. Consider someone who earns a high salary but spends it all on liabilities, luxuries, or instant gratification. Without the right knowledge, they may look successful on the outside but remain financially fragile on the inside. On the other hand, a person with average earnings but strong financial understanding will allocate money toward assets that grow, producing income streams that eventually surpass their salary. This contrast shows why knowledge outweighs luck or temporary advantages. The difference lies not in what people earn, but in what they know and how they apply that knowledge to control the flow of money in their lives. Books, mentors, and real-world experiences all serve as sources of financial knowledge. But what matters is how seriously a person applies what they learn. Concepts such as compound interest, cash flow, diversification, and leverage may seem technical, but once understood, they reshape how decisions are made. For instance, recognizing the long-term power of compound growth can make someone choose to invest early instead of postponing. Understanding cash flow can push someone to prioritize income, generating assets over depreciating items. Learning about diversification can protect wealth during unpredictable times, and mastering leverage can accelerate growth by using other people's resources responsibly. Each of these ideas, once internalized, gives an individual the power to steer their financial journey with confidence instead of relying on luck or hoping circumstances will improve on their own. Another important dimension of financial knowledge is mindset. Beyond numbers and strategies, knowledge teaches discipline, patience, and emotional control. Many financial mistakes happen not because people lack income, but because they let fear or greed drive their decisions. Without knowledge, a market downturn can create panic and rash selling, while a rising market can fuel reckless buying. With knowledge, the same person stays calm, recognizing cycles and making decisions based on principles rather than emotions. This emotional intelligence, grounded in financial literacy, often determines long-term success more than any single opportunity or investment. Financial freedom is also about creating systems that reduce dependency on constant labor. Knowledge teaches that wealth grows faster when it is tied to systems rather than individual effort. Entrepreneurs who build businesses, investors who create passive income, and creators who monetize intellectual property all apply this principle. They are not relying on working harder forever, but on making money flow through channels that do not demand their constant presence. This understanding comes only from studying how money and value creation truly function, something luck alone could never teach. When knowledge is applied consistently, it builds confidence. Instead of living with uncertainty and fear about the future, a person begins to feel in control of their financial path. They stop seeing money as something scarce and difficult and begin to see it as something abundant, accessible when managed wisely. This shift in perspective is profound because it transforms not only finances, but the entire outlook on life. Opportunities become easier to spot, risks become easier to manage, and setbacks become easier to overcome. Knowledge does not guarantee that nothing will ever go wrong, but it ensures that when challenges arise, there are tools and strategies available to navigate them with resilience and foresight. The distinction between assets and liabilities is one of the most important concepts a person can learn on their journey toward wealth, because it determines whether money is flowing toward you or away from you. Too many people confuse the two, thinking that anything expensive they own is automatically an asset, when in reality it might be draining their resources rather than adding to them. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket, whether you are actively working or not, while a liability takes money out of your pocket. Understanding this difference changes how financial decisions are made and reshapes the path toward long-term freedom. Many people buy cars, gadgets, or luxury items and consider them assets simply because they are possessions. But if those items do not generate income and instead require payments, maintenance, or depreciation, they are liabilities in disguise. A brand new car, for example, may provide comfort and status, but from a financial perspective, it loses value the moment it leaves the showroom and its upkeep continues to demand money. Compare that to a rental property that produces monthly income even while you sleep. That property not only covers its own expenses, but also generates profit, making it a true asset. The ability to make this distinction guides people away from financial traps and toward decisions that actually build wealth over time. The wealthy understand that the key to financial growth is accumulating assets while keeping liabilities under control. Assets can be businesses, stocks, bonds, real estate, intellectual property, or any investment that yields ongoing returns. Liabilities, on the other hand, can be credit card debt, excessive loans, luxury purchases, or lifestyle habits that consume money without offering returns. When someone prioritizes assets, they are essentially planting seeds that will grow into trees bearing fruit for years to come. When they prioritize liabilities, they are constantly feeding something that never nourishes them in return. This understanding also changes the way people perceive work and income. A person who only focuses on earning through a job is limited because the paycheck stops when the work stops. Someone who focuses on building assets, however, creates income streams that continue regardless of whether they are actively working. This is why a business owner or investor can step away from day-to-day labor yet still grow wealth, while an employee may remain dependent on constant effort just to survive. The choice to invest in assets is the choice to escape the cycle of trading time for money. The challenge lies in the fact that liabilities often feel rewarding in the short term, while assets require patience and vision. It is easy to be tempted by the latest gadget, a bigger house, or a flashy lifestyle, but these things drain wealth if acquired prematurely. Assets, on the other hand, may not provide immediate excitement, but they create stability and freedom in the long run. Developing the discipline to choose assets over liabilities requires a shift in mindset, one that values future security over instant gratification. Books, mentors, and financial education all play a vital role in helping people see through the illusion of wealth created by liabilities and recognize the real power of assets. Over time, small decisions compound. Choosing to invest in a modest property instead of buying a luxury car, or putting money into dividend-paying stocks rather than expensive vacations gradually shifts the balance toward financial independence. Each new asset acquired is like adding another pillar to a structure that will eventually support the weight of one's financial freedom. Liabilities, if left unchecked, can tear that structure down, creating debt, stress, and dependence. Recognizing this dynamic ensures that every financial choice made today contributes to stability tomorrow. The difference between assets and liabilities also influences how opportunities are evaluated. A person with strong financial awareness asks whether a purchase or investment will bring money in or take money out. This single question prevents countless mistakes and ensures resources are directed toward growth. Over time, as assets accumulate, they not only provide income, but also open doors to new opportunities such as reinvestment, expansion, and diversification. Liabilities, in contrast, limit options by consuming cash flow and reducing flexibility. Those who master this distinction find themselves increasingly free to shape their lives according to their goals rather than their depths. Wealth is often seen as something that requires decades of slow and steady progress, but the truth is that it does not always have to take a lifetime to achieve financial independence. With the right strategies, knowledge, and mindset, the path to wealth can be accelerated in ways that many people never imagined possible. Traditional advice often tells us to save diligently, work for 40 years, and then retire. But this approach assumes that financial freedom should only be enjoyed at the end of life rather than during the prime years when energy, creativity, and ambition are at their peak. The reality is that people who think differently about money and success are able to compress timelines, creating systems and opportunities that allow them to achieve results in years instead of decades. The key lies in leveraging scalable models rather than relying solely on personal effort. Working harder at a job will only produce limited results because there are only so many hours in a day. Building systems, however, allows income to multiply beyond the boundaries of time. Entrepreneurs who create businesses, investors who use capital wisely, and innovators who develop products or services that can reach thousands or millions of people are all examples of individuals who accelerate their wealth through scalability. Instead of trading time for money, they create processes that generate income continuously. This shift in approach is what separates those who achieve freedom early from those who spend most of their lives waiting for retirement. Technology has also made it possible to speed up the journey to wealth. In today's world, digital platforms allow people to share knowledge, sell products, or build brands with minimal barriers to entry. Someone with a valuable skill can create an online course, publish a book, or launch a business that reaches a global audience within months. Investment opportunities are more accessible than ever, with platforms that allow small investors to participate in markets previously reserved for institutions. The key is not merely having access, but knowing how to use these tools strategically. Those who embrace innovation and take advantage of scalable opportunities often find themselves building wealth far more quickly than those who stick to outdated models of work and savings. Mindset is equally important in accelerating wealth. People who believe that financial success must take decades often limit themselves by sticking to safe but slow paths. Those who are willing to think differently, take calculated risks, and embrace learning curves are able to open doors to faster results. It is not about chasing shortcuts or get-rich-quick schemes, but about positioning oneself intelligently in areas where growth can happen rapidly. Whether through entrepreneurship, real estate, investing, or digital ventures, the willingness to explore faster lanes of wealth creation makes a significant difference. Patience and persistence are still required, but the timeline is shortened because the effort is directed toward opportunities that have higher potential for exponential growth. Another critical aspect of speeding up the journey to wealth is focusing on value creation at scale. Instead of asking how to make more money for oneself, the better question is how to solve problems for more people. When solutions reach larger audiences, the rewards multiply accordingly. A local service might support a small business, but a digital service can support thousands across the world. The same amount of effort put into creating a scalable solution can produce far greater returns than focusing on something that impacts only a small group. The faster someone learns to connect their efforts to large-scale value creation, the faster they move toward financial freedom. Of course, achieving wealth quickly also requires avoiding traps that slow progress. Debt, overspending, and poor financial management can erase gains and delay independence. Discipline in managing income, reinvesting profits, and resisting unnecessary liabilities becomes even more important when the goal is acceleration. Building wealth quickly is not about recklessness, but about intentional strategies executed with focus and control. Those who combine knowledge with discipline ensure that their progress is sustainable rather than temporary. The idea that wealth must take decades is a limitation that keeps many people stuck in slow lanes, waiting for freedom that may never fully arrive. Those who challenge this idea and commit to smarter paths discover that financial independence can be achieved earlier than expected. They learn to work on systems instead of hours, to leverage opportunities instead of waiting passively, and to think about scale instead of limitation. By aligning mindset, strategy, and discipline, it becomes clear that the timeline to wealth is not fixed but flexible, shaped by the choices a person makes and the opportunities they are willing to pursue. Rating alone has never been enough to transform anyone's financial reality, because knowledge that is never applied remains only theory stored in the mind without producing real-world results. The equation that truly drives change is the combination of mindset and action, where mindset provides the direction and action provides the movement. A person can read hundreds of books, attend countless seminars, and consume endless advice, but unless they take steps to implement what they learn, their circumstances will stay the same. Mindset is powerful because it shapes how we perceive opportunities and challenges, but action is the force that turns ideas into achievements. When these two elements come together, the outcomes can be extraordinary. Mindset determines how someone approaches wealth. If a person believes money is scarce, that rich people are lucky, or that success is reserved for others, no amount of action will lead them to lasting financial freedom. Every choice will be filtered through limiting beliefs, preventing growth even when opportunities appear. On the other hand, if someone develops an abundance mindset, understands that wealth is created by adding value, and believes that financial freedom is possible for them, their actions naturally align with these beliefs. They begin to look for solutions instead of problems, to see possibilities instead of roadblocks, and to approach challenges with resilience rather than defeat. This shift in thinking creates the foundation upon which action can be effective. Yet mindset alone cannot generate results. A person may believe in abundance, visualize wealth, and set intentions, but without concrete steps, their life remains unchanged. Action is where the principles learned are tested against reality. It involves starting the investment account, launching the business, building the product, or developing the skill that creates income. Action requires consistency, and it often demands facing discomfort and uncertainty. Many people stop at the mindset stage because it feels safe and inspiring, but true transformation requires stepping into the unknown, making mistakes, and learning from them. It is through persistent action that theory is refined into practice and vague ambition turns into measurable progress. The interplay between mindset and action can be seen in the way successful individuals build their wealth. They often begin by shifting their beliefs about money, questioning old assumptions, and adopting new perspectives from books, mentors, or experiences. This mental shift then fuels their willingness to take bold actions that others might avoid. For example, where one person might fear investing because of potential loss, another with the right mindset sees it as a calculated step toward growth and takes action accordingly. Over time, those actions compound, creating momentum and opening doors to new opportunities that reinforce the mindset even further. Discipline is a crucial element in this equation. The best mindset can fade if it is not reinforced by consistent behavior. And action without discipline often leads to wasted effort. Someone may start with enthusiasm, but without steady habits, their results will falter. By combining a growth-oriented mindset with disciplined action, small daily efforts accumulate into significant long-term change. Simple habits like budgeting, saving, reading financial literature, or dedicating time to a side project may seem minor in isolation, but over years, they create a financial foundation that grows steadily stronger. Another aspect of merging mindset with action is resilience. The journey toward wealth is rarely smooth, and setbacks are inevitable. Those who rely only on action without the right mindset may give up at the first sign of difficulty. Those who rely only on mindset without action may stay in the realm of dreams and never build anything tangible. But when both work together, mindset provides the strength to endure failures, and action provides the path to recover from them. Each failure becomes a lesson, each setback a stepping stone, and progress continues even when challenges arise. Ultimately, the balance between mindset and action shapes not only financial outcomes, but personal growth. People who cultivate empowering beliefs and back them up with consistent, purposeful effort develop confidence, independence, and the ability to create opportunities for themselves. They learn that success is not a single event, but a process fueled by daily choices that reflect what they believe and how they behave. The fusion of mindset and action becomes a powerful cycle where belief drives effort, effort produces results, and results strengthen belief, creating a continuous upward spiral of growth. Books often serve as a roadmap for those seeking financial freedom, And when two particular works are combined, they provide a complete picture of both the philosophy and the strategy needed to build lasting wealth. One book lays the foundation by teaching how to think about money differently, challenging the traditional mindset that working harder for a paycheck is the only path to stability. It explains the difference between assets and liabilities, the importance of financial education, and the mindset shifts necessary to move from scarcity to abundance. The other book builds on that foundation by showing how to accelerate the process, introducing the concept of scalable systems, value creation at large levels, and the difference between living in the slow lane versus the fast lane. When these two frameworks are absorbed together, they create a blueprint that anyone can use to design a life where money works for them rather than the other way around. The first step in this roadmap is internal. Without the right mindset, even the best strategies will fail. Many people grow up with deeply ingrained beliefs about money that limit their ability to create wealth. They may believe that only the wealthy have access to certain opportunities or that financial success is determined by luck or privilege. The first book in this roadmap dismantles those assumptions by presenting wealth as the result of knowledge and choices rather than fate. It pushes readers to adopt the habit of seeking assets that generate income rather than liabilities that drain it. It also stresses the importance of financial literacy because ignorance about how money works is often the biggest obstacle to achieving independence. This shift in thinking prepares the reader to approach wealth building with clarity and purpose rather than fear or resignation. The second step is external and practical. Once the mindset has been reshaped, the next question becomes how to put that mindset into action in a way that speeds up the journey. This is where the second book provides its value, teaching that traditional paths of saving and waiting decades for retirement are not the only option. Instead, it emphasizes creating systems that generate income at scale. It introduces the fast lane, which is not about reckless shortcuts, but about designing businesses, products, or services that reach many people and produce exponential returns. Rather than depending on a single paycheck or slow investment, the fast lane encourages leveraging entrepreneurship, innovation, and scalable opportunities to shorten the timeline to wealth. The roadmap also highlights the importance of alignment between personal values and financial goals. Building wealth is not only about accumulating money, but about creating freedom, impact, and fulfillment. The combination of these two books encourages readers to think about why they want wealth in the first place and how to design a life that matches that vision. For some, it may be financial independence to travel. For others, it may be security for their families. And for others, still it may be the ability to contribute meaningfully to society. Whatever the reason, the roadmap ensures that wealth becomes a tool to support life's purpose rather than the sole focus. What makes these two perspectives so powerful together is that one teaches you how to build a strong foundation while the other teaches you how to accelerate once that foundation is set. If someone reads only the first, they may understand money but still move slowly. If they read only the second, they may try to move fast without a strong understanding of financial principles, which can lead to mistakes. Together, they complement one another perfectly, providing both wisdom and speed, caution and boldness, principles and strategies. The roadmap they create is not about magic formulas, but about consistent learning, smart decisions, and the courage to act on opportunities. It shows that anyone, regardless of where they start, can rewrite their financial future by combining the right mindset with the right actions. By internalizing these lessons, individuals shift from being controlled by money to being in control of it, and from living passively in the slow lane to actively creating their own fast lane toward independence.